Have you noticed that the peace you're chasing isn't silence, but a place where someone remembers your name? In the dim corner of a forgotten room sits an empty chair, and on it, a coat you've never worn. The fabric still carries the scent of another body, as if whispering, "Someone was here before you." You hesitate, watching, afraid to touch what might be someone else's secret. Yet the way the light rests on the fabric feels like it remembers stories you've lived too. In that moment, you understand. It's not rest your chest longs for. It's the echo of a home you've never found. The coat, silent, promises no comfort, only the right to exist without apology. And as your fingers draw closer, you feel the chair is not truly empty. It's simply been waiting for you to sit. He walks narrow streets that seem to have no end, even when the city opens into bright plazas. Each step is light on his body but heavy on his soul, as if he's dragging a handleless suitcase filled with memories that aren't even his. He's the kind of person who arrives and observes, who smiles so he won't be read, who blends into the scenery so no one asks questions. No one sees it, but he wears an invisible cloak, woven from threads of "I don't belong" and "I don't fit." Sometimes he thinks this weight keeps him safe, shielding him from being lost in others. Other times he knows it's exactly what keeps him from finding himself. And when he passes a shop window, he doesn't recognize the face in the glass, only a traveler who has never arrived anywhere. It was on an unhurried afternoon when the wind seemed to push the whole world away that he saw the door. It was narrow, made of worn wood marked by fingernails and knife scratches, as if many had tried to enter and just as many had tried to leave. Above the lock hung a small oval mirror, dulled by time but still able to return images with a strange light. As he drew closer, he realized he couldn't see his full face, only fragments, one eye, part of a mouth, the curve of an ear. Around him, the silence was so thick that the sound of his own breathing felt like an intruder. And then he noticed. At the bottom corner of the mirror, someone had etched a phrase, almost erased. 4 words that, though incomplete, struck him like an old home's whisper. He didn't know it yet, but that mirror carried the key to something far beyond himself. He stood before the mirror as one might before a frozen lake, the urge to step in almost as strong as the fear of sinking. The carved words were worn too thin to be read at once, as if they demanded he stop, breathe, and accept not understanding. In the fractured reflection, he saw not only his own face but the shadows of others, as though the glass had held the features of everyone who'd ever searched for that door. For a moment, he felt he was being watched, not by the mirror, but by all those absences. The air smelled of old wood and rain that had not yet fallen, as if time itself were holding its breath. He closed his eyes, hoping the silence would bring an answer, but instead came a gentle weight like a borrowed blanket that still manages to warm you. When he opened his eyes, the mirror had changed. It wasn't his current reflection staring back, but something impossible. Him, sitting in that empty chair he'd seen days before, wearing the coat that wasn't his. The room behind him was full. Faces he didn't recognize, yet whose eyes felt familiar, as if they carried pieces of his story. None of them smiled, none waved. They simply stayed, whole, like people who need not prove they exist. And he realized, without fanfare, that he wasn't being invited into a group. He was being invited to stay in his own body, without hurry, without justification. The mirror then returned to the present, his real face whole, unbroken. And in that quiet flash he knew, belonging isn't a place that welcomes you. It's a space you open inside yourself. He left the door behind, but the mirror didn't leave him. Not in his hands, not in his pocket, but etched into the way he now walked as someone who carries his own ground even in foreign places. The streets were still narrow, the glances still slid past him like wind, but inside a light stayed on, a chair waited, and a coat was always within reach. At each corner, he would press his palm to his chest, as if checking a secret still warm. You can do the same now. Choose a small object, a stone, a key, a scrap of cloth, and keep it in your pocket. Whenever the world's weight reminds you that you don't belong, touch it and take 3 deep breaths. not as someone trying to fit in, but as someone remembering, I am already here. Maybe you've spent your whole life looking for a place to receive you. But it was always about learning to receive yourself. He went on with his journey, and though no one else saw it, inside him there was now a lit room, a steady chair, and a coat waiting for him in every winter. He was no longer a visitor to the world. He was the owner of his own ground, even if no one else noticed. The phrase once unreadable in the mirror was now clear. You already belong. Here's your turn. Write these words on a piece of paper and hide them somewhere only you will find. When the emptiness comes, touch it and whisper like a quiet spell, I am already here. Then take a single step, any step, as if you were crossing into your own home.